In this video, I'll cover the 7 areas of successful and powerfully effective sound healing that speaks to our souls, has the power to change us profoundly, and carry us into the next stages of not only our healing, including healing trauma, while even possibly potentiating the activation of new genomes and DNA responses, now backed by the latest scientific research. This information is at the end, so listen to the end to get it. And all of the following information is for curated tones, frequency, patterns, and vibrations and rhythms of sound healing. The first area is composed of several vital components that are essential for the entire sound healing experience. In a dynamic and effective sound healing experience, there is a tendency to safety for the receiver, which means there are no intrusions by other people, obtrusive sounds, or influences. This includes cell phones and an atmosphere of peacefulness that is protected from any outside interferences on all levels. Number 2 is the ability for the receiver to be comfortable in their body placement and consideration of sensitivities to sounds, temperatures, odors, positions that are not conducive to receiving. Get this also straightened out because that's part of the setup in advance. Number 3, the practitioner is a listener, not a talker. The practitioner shows their ability to hear and understand what is being asked of them in the session, is not processing their own issues through the session, and listens closely to the receiver. When there is no practitioner and you are in a session you've created from headphones or with speakers, then you have dedicated this time for your purpose. The space is prepared. You have no other interfering appointments. There are no people who are walking through your space or other sounds, music, or audio that will interfere. And you have set aside enough time afterwards so you don't have to pop up and do something. Number 4 is setting the intention. Suggestions of intentions may be releasing, healing, centering, insight, safety, joy, as well as a generic highlighting what is needed, messages about life, connecting to an idea or restoration. And you could even consider a non-intention intention is to allow the process to unfold. A person who is using sound healing for the first time, or even the first few times, may have a first intention of going slowly or to have a milder session to become comfortable with the process. As a person continues with sound healing, their options for intentions become vast, and a person who is familiar with going into a deep state can set an intention to learn about, gain insight, and continue their transformation at deeper and deeper levels. These deeper level intentions are beneficial with a professional facilitator who understands the ethics, safety signs, and the scope of practice. Another layer of the intention for the practitioner is holding space for the receiver, for the physical body, mind, emotions, and spirit, and at all levels, because they are the guardian. The responsibility of holding space is very significant in sound healing because of the vulnerability and the depth in which the person who is the receiver has the potential to go. And also knowing that when a person is a practitioner, they also will be transformed by the sound simultaneously with the receiver. But holding space also has other elements that are vital below. Other changes that are noticeable are deep sense of relaxation, sometimes an overall warmth, slowing of the heart rate and pulse, and breathing, which are all moving into a comfortable and deeply relaxing state. When a person is familiar with the process of a sound healing session, they may go into a deeper state of theta brainwaves or even deeper, which is rare. All the brainwave states, alpha and theta, are deeply restorative, where our neurological system releases stress, chronic stress, trauma, and inflammation. As these are diminished, there is also a diminishing of the stress hormone, cortisol, which produces the inflammation. Cortisol is produced from trauma and chronic levels of stress and is an underlying cause of the most common diseases: heart disease, cancer, addiction, diabetes, immune-compromised illness, depression, anxiety, bipolar, schizophrenia, and other conditions. The comprehensive nature of the restoration that occurs also includes the release of hormones that make us feel good and develop areas of our human experience that foster and grow our potential. These areas include developing our insight, opening our hearts, and releasing and diminishing relentless thoughts and even negative thoughts. This is a healing process and also is a foundation for where we develop resilience and compassion. And while these are occurring, our immune system is positively changing, releasing anxiety and depression, and the emotions become regulated because of the group of hormones that are positively benefiting our system. Number 6 is your sound healing sessions will have 4 stages. The beginning, which is listed above as intention, comfort, and the beginning of relaxation and releasing normal brain waves. And then there's the middle part, which has a beginning that transitions into deeper relaxation and receptive and restorative states. And then the transition from the deep receptive state into the end. And then the last stage, which is the end, which is bringing to closure the session. The following information is as vital as all the rest of the stages for the impact and depth from the sound healing session. And that is the silence at the end of the session. When your sound healing session comes to a conclusion, absorbing the experience through being still and silent allows you to take in deeply through all of your systems, through all of your sensory experiences. During the silence, there is the transition from the deepest stage slowly back into ordinary consciousness. Even in this stage of transition, it can take a while. And it's at this stage a person may fully realize how deep they were able to relax as they start to transition back to normal states of consciousness. It's also advised not to move about quickly, but to allow some time to equilibrate all of your systems to ordinary consciousness. And number 7 is repeating this process, repeating sound healing experiences as a regular practice builds in incremental shifts that are up-leveling to our physical body, our immune system, changing dysregulated emotions and thoughts to regulation, and releasing biochemical shifts, which are what I mentioned before, which is diminishing inflammation, stress, cortisol, helping to unravel trauma in our neurological system, and then releasing the feel-good chemicals that give us all those positive benefits. Because accessing non-ordinary states can have elusive qualities to them, it's often valuable to record what is experienced as quickly as possible, so the experience doesn't dissipate like a dream memory. And that means to have some way of recording your experience. Pen and paper is best because it helps to establish information when you write it. And ancient people knew the benefits of listening to and taking in changes and shifts in consciousness through listening to specific rhythms and patterns because of these deep, profound changes, the development of interconnection and insight, and within groups who listen to the same curated sound and music because there's a resonance within that group. They use listening to specific sound and music as a regular practice because they understood we are not designed to stay in one level of consciousness. In fact, staying in one level of consciousness is harming us. As in recent scientific research reveals, listening to specific sound and music accesses these deep and restorative levels of consciousness to all of our systems as well, is not only profoundly transformational, is restorative because they not only diminish stress and inflammation, which are the underlying causes of most physical and mental diseases, they also include restoring our neurological system, healing trauma, developing resilience, and is not only profoundly transformational, it's restorative because they not only diminishes stress and inflammation, which are underlying causes to most physical and mental diseases, but it includes restoring our neurological system, healing trauma, developing resilience and insight, inner wisdom and compassion, as well as deepening our relationship to our spirituality.